And welcome back. Let's face it, Montgomery County politics is mostly, well, it's boring. It's a one-horse county. The county has been controlled by Democrats since Harry Truman was president. So when something that is out of the ordinary occurs, it's treated as a really big deal. Well, folks, last week there was a political earthquake, a tsunami, an upheaval so momentous that the political community was actually shocked. The entire planning board, all 5 members, all political appointees, well, they resigned or were fired by the county council, depending on the news report you read. But who better to ask what the hell is going on with our planning board than our own Nancy Floreen, who not only served on the county council, but also the planning board itself. Nancy, the Washington Post described it this way: all over the Washington region this month, housing dramas has roiled leaders and the public, from management failures to debates over single-family zoning. In Montgomery County, the influential planning board imploded last week after a workplace conduct scandal. And next week, the council is poised to appoint temporary members and approve the landmark Thrive 2050 plan, which aims to increase housing density, especially around transit poles. So what is the world is going on?
It's crazy. This all ballooned out of Casey Anderson having a bar in his office to 6 people losing their jobs and the planning board losing credibility and the council in the position of having to do something. So they did something. That's what it kind of boils down to. It's really sad. I've been on both sides, both teams. Neither is easy. And this has been a very difficult situation, but the fact of the matter is the council's I think the problem for the council right now is they have, as last report, 128 applicants for 5 positions. And I'm not sure that they've been clear that whether these are temporary positions or long-term. And so that changes the chemistry of the whole operation.
Yeah.
They only have a few days in which to make a decision. And, that part makes it especially complicated. People are tying this to the other decision in front of the council, which is this master plan, general plan update is what it is basically. That is before the full council at this point. It has been, I believe, vetted by the committee that reviews it and all the details. Actually, the planning board at this point has no role to play in the Thrive decision. It's up to the council, the committee, and staff to answer any questions by the full council. So people are pressing, trying to use this as an opportunity to divert that process in some way. We'll see if that works. I don't think it's going to. Typically, those big master planning decisions, and when they get to the full council, they'll spend a day or 2 going through the information in the plan, but it's the committee that does the work and works with the planning board, not so much the full council. So that's the process that's typically in place. But, these days, nothing's typical.
Well, look, I've been a strong critic of the Thrive 2050 Montgomery plan, primarily because it was all implemented during COVID. And I didn't feel that there was sufficient vetting and opportunity for the public to comment either pro or con on the plan. And I think this is the genesis of what occurred in leading up to the decision to fire all the planning board members, was the controversy not only surrounding Casey Anderson, that was an inside hit job. Somebody wanted to nail that guy. And so this is,
that's true.
So, I think they ought to go back. They ought to punt on this and go back. So, but Mark, can the council legitimately adopt the Thrive 2050 plan when you have the county executive already on record as opposing it? So where do they go from here?
Well, I think legally they probably can. I doubt that they can't, but I think they shouldn't. I think we have a new council coming in. And if this is a long-term plan, then it's appropriate to take a little bit more time to vet it appropriately. Clearly, this came out of a discredited planning board. We really in Montgomery County ought to take a look at this again. I think there's some very flawed assumptions. We've talked about it on the show in the past about how do you get to affordable housing. I think we could really do better by going back and reevaluating some of the assumptions that are being made.
Look, this is not just a Montgomery County issue. I mean, identified in the Washington Post this week was, the struggles that Arlington County is also going through with respect to affordable housing and the possibility that you could tear down a house and put up 2 apartments or townhouses in their place. So, the number of housing units that are needed to be built in the county is something like 30,000 a year, and we're at 20,000 a year in terms of building them. This is really a disaster. And I frankly don't think either the council or the planning board, has done enough to address these issues. Nancy, I'll let you.
If I can say, I've been in the weeds on all this. The answer to affordability is more housing. Neighborhoods don't want to change. And I don't think the plan calls for a lot of change in communities. There is it's just a vision. It is not any implementing tool. It's not going to change anything. The change occurs when someone comes in with an application to do something or perhaps a zoning decision that comes through the process that has to be vetted, or they have to change the rules actually to make something happen. It's not changing any rules. And I think that's important to understand the plan. I'm a big fan of it, particularly myself, but the fact of the matter is it's just a plan. It's just words. It's not regulation.
Yeah, but it also works in conjunction with reality. I mean, I've got clients that go to the planning board with an as to be built, meets all the zoning criteria that currently exists in Bethesda for a 200 unit apartment complex, and the neighbors complain about it, and all of a sudden it's a 150 unit complex and 1 floor is missing because of pushback. I mean, my goodness, I mean, we need more housing, and how are we going to get it is the question. Either one of you got 30 seconds. I don't know if anybody wants to touch that third rail.
If I could, I'd make the observation that one of the things that's been frustrating about is this tendency to say we really need to do this urgent. We got to get it out because we got more affordable housing. And then when people raise questions about it, the response is, well, but it's not really a big deal. It's not really going to change all that much. And I think that some of the advocates are trying to have it both ways.